Please describe your job title and primary duties.
I worked in the meat department within the corporation. Duties were fairly broad, so we had a fairly small staff just because it was a smaller department. So my store specifically, I can't speak for other stores, but we did not work with grinding anything or anything like that. That was the deli. So I worked within like the fresh meat department where you would get like your ground beef, things of that nature. So we watched temperatures of everything out on the floor, so making sure everything was at a safe temperature, making sure it didn't rise into that danger zone of 36 to 65 approximately, so that the customer was getting a fresh product and a safe product. We would also weigh the products and put stickers on them for pricing, things of that nature. Everything did come pre-ground, pre-packaged, things like that, so we didn't handle anything like that. But things still do have juices, so sanitation was a constant thing. You would work with beef, and then you would sanitize everything, and then you'd work with pork and chicken, turkey, so on and so forth. We did also have kind of a customer service aspect, so people would come and say, "This is what I'm making. What do you suggest that I use for that?" Or ground beef has different types or different levels of fat in it, so you would kind of be expected to have some of that knowledge to be able to suggest something to the customer. And then just keeping the department facing clean, making sure everything's front facing, looks nice, stocked, things of that nature.
What was the work environment like?
I don't want to say it was slow paced, but there was definitely times where I could just kind of walk around, make sure everything was nice, a slow paced walk, do my facing, but also interact with customers. It wasn't a bad work environment. It wasn't very fast paced at times. There was a fast pace, during holiday seasons when there was a mad rush to get your turkeys. We would have 3 of the deep freezers of turkeys and they would empty in 2 hours. So just kind of dependent on the time of year.
Please describe the application and interview process.
So when you apply, you're actually applying to both Sam's Club and Walmart. They are one corporation, all owned by the Walton family. Kind of the option was open to move to either. I chose Walmart just because it was closer to me. It was about 5 minutes down the road. The closest Sam's Club was approximately 20. So during the application process, I filled out a fairly lengthy application. Just I think due to the fact that it was the meat department working with sharp objects, with cutting packages open, things of that nature. There was background checks and things like that. The corporation, I will say, is fairly detailed in their application process, which I appreciated just because I knew the individuals that I was working with were skilled, and I didn't have to worry about them interacting with anything harmfully that could harm me in any aspect or any way.
What questions did the interviewer ask during the job interview?
So my application was online, and then the interview process was in person. And I actually did a group interview, which was fairly odd. Customer service questions, also serve safe questions, making sure we knew what temperatures, things of that nature. They did expect us to come in with a little bit of knowledge, just because, if you're going to work in a specialized department like that, rather than just, general stock, you probably should have a decent amount of knowledge coming in. So having us interact with each other and giving us certain scenarios, kind of like a role play sort of interaction with both worker to worker, customer to worker, things of that nature. And then we also had individual interviews with human resources, kind of going through personal background checks, things of that nature. If there was anything that came up on a background check, they would kind of converse that with you and talk it out. I do not know their specific policies on what comes up on a background check. I didn't have anything pop up, but they still do pull everybody aside just to kind of keep that fair employer, not singling anybody out should anything pop up.
How were you notified that you received the job?
I want to say it was an email notification. I don't remember the exact timeline. I wouldn't say more than a week. They were hiring fairly quickly. They were looking to fill the position immediately. So they were fairly up to date with everything, and started the process immediately with all of my paperwork and training. We went through an online training and then some in-person training as well. All of their positions within the corporation have an online training with multiple modules that you have to go through before actually gaining the position. You have to pass that in order to get that position.
What set you apart from other candidates?
I did come in with a decent amount of knowledge. I worked food previously, and I've worked in restaurants, things of that nature. So coming in with that knowledge and a fair amount of it, I also came in ServSafe certified. That's kind of just your basic food certification, knowing your temperatures, knowing what to look for if something is spoiled or bad, even if it comes straight out of the box. Just making sure you're not serving that to the customer and allowing them to buy that product.
What other advice would you give to a job seeker looking to gain employment?
Definitely just coming in with that knowledge, possibly look into your ServSafe, but also know that you will be in a chilled environment. So if you're someone who's fairly cold, that may not be the best option for you. If you're looking for similar, there's always the deli, there's the fresh foods with the bakery, things of that nature. But kind of coming in with an open mind, you will have a fairly large department for a single individual if you're working by yourself, but also be willing to find tasks if you do have that downtime, because if you're not doing anything, they'll send you home. So if you're not needed, then they don't really need you there. So make sure you know how to find those tasks should you need them.